Welcome to the last session of the module Digital Commons for All. With all this talk about open access and the digital commons, the fact is we are fast hurtling towards a future that includes AI. So let's take a pause to think about what it is that we would like to consider in thinking about this future. The white paper, Beyond AI and Copyright, Funding a Sustainable Information Ecosystem by Paul Keller, came out recently. The arguments developed in this paper primarily concern LLMs, large language models, and related approaches that are driving much of the discourse around AI policy and the impact of AI on society. Keller says that while debates have often centered on whether AI will replace creative labor or whether we can opt out of data use or even whether AI will lead to job losses, he would like to single out in this paper the impact of generative AI. The paper makes four very important points. First, that the impact of AI models on how humans produce, access, and consume information is still underestimated. Second, that there is urgent and essential need for public AI models and infrastructures. Third, AI relies on a broad information ecosystem, one that includes a wide range of actors contributing to the digital commons. So, fourth, that to be economically sustainable, we need to think beyond current copyright regimes. And hence, this module is called Beyond Copyright. Specifically, Keller asks, if we take the idea seriously that AI systems could become the repositories of all human knowledge and culture, then it quickly becomes evident that this vision carries profound implications for how we understand AI. Specifically, this means large language models do not just organize information, they mediate access to knowledge, simulate authority, and generate meaning. What does this transformation mean for how we structure our access to information? And how does it affect the long term for a society that depends on a healthy, diverse, and accessible knowledge commons? So, this paper recognizes that AI is not just a tool, but a new kind of mediation. And we, in recognizing that it is a new social and cultural technology, needs that we develop a framework of how it's used and governed in the public interest. So let's dive deep into what this really important shift that's happening right now will do and how it affects how we access information, who controls it, and how we keep it going. When talking about generative AI, tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and others, we see they're fast becoming the way people search, learn, and create. But here's the big question. What happens to the people and institutions who actually create the knowledge these systems are trained on? So let's start with what's changing, right? AI is not just a tool, it's a new kind of gatekeeper to knowledge. Much like the printing press or libraries shaped how people accessed information centuries ago, AI is shaping it now. But unlike libraries or schools, most AI tools are built and owned by a few big tech companies. And hence, as you see on this slide, many lawsuits have now ensued. Why? Because AI is being trained on our collective knowledge books, articles, Wikipedia, open data, even blogs. Now, once all this knowledge is inside AI systems, people might even stop going to the original sources, right? Which were like news sites, museums, or schools. And that's a problem because these original sources need support. If no one visits or funds any of them, they may fade out and we lose something very valuable. So think of it this way. AI companies are scooping up everything publicly available online, remixing it, and selling it back to us. This includes content that was never meant to be sold, like open access research, public archives, Wikipedia, government data. And what about the people in institutions who made that content? They usually don't get paid and are often not even credited. Today, we're watching a shift where the public knowledge commons, something built over decades, is becoming part of a private product. That's like building a public park, and one day someone fences it off and charges you for entry. So there are a lot of new questions, right, about AI and authorship. Because people say, right, well, shouldn't copyright protect these creators? Well, unfortunately, it doesn't really work that way. A lot of the content used to train AI isn't under copyright, or the owners can't be traced, or the law allows it under fair use. It is said today that much of AI has combed through the entire existing internet as its training data. So legal action alone isn't enough. We need something structural, not just legal. So what can we do? Well, that white paper that Paul Keller published in June 25, right, at openfuture.eu proposes two major solutions. One is that we need AI systems that aren't just commercial tools. We need AI that's publicly funded, transparent, and aligned with public values, just like public broadcasting was. This means AI that serves education, research, and journalism. The second solution they have is to introduce a levy system, right? So that is to say that if AI uses some data, public data, it should pay a fee, like a levy or a royalty. And then that money can be redistributed to the content created. So basically, it's a new ecosystem. And if AI benefits from the commons, the simple argument is it should give back to keep the commons alive. But this isn't just about fairness. It's about keeping our knowledge ecosystem alive in the way that Creative Commons licensing did. If we don't act, we risk a future where fewer people create content, or they certainly don't circulate it for free in public. Public institutions fade, and knowledge is gated by a few big companies. But if we do act, we can build a future where AI and public knowledge grow together, where everyone benefits. So let me leave you with this. The internet gave us open access to knowledge, but we didn't protect it. And now much of it is behind paywalls, owned by platforms, or flooded with low quality content. We can't make the same mistake with AI. We need to create public AI, support the people who make knowledge, and make sure the future of information is fair, diverse, and sustainable. So let's think beyond what we have known copyright to be to design a different digital commons together.